Udabayanga Vepo Margam Sapadyadi Puram Paravan Vidiksha. 2:7:24. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupat Brahmamsa Parivajacharya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimadbhagavatam A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimadbhagavatam Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Ram Navami Ki Jai, the holy appearance day of Ramchandra Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so this is Canto 2, entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 7, Scheduled Incarnations, Text 24. Yasma udad udade udabayanga vepo. Yasma adad udabayanga vepo. Margam sapadyadi puram haravadi dikshoho. Dure surin matita rosha shushona drishya. Tata Makaro Raga Nakra Chakraha. Yasma Adar Udada Udhabayanga Vepo. Margam Sapadyari Puram Haravadi Dikshoho. Dure Surin Matita Rosha Sushona Drishtya. Tatapyamana Makaro Raga Nakra Chakraha. Yasma Udar Ud. Okay, thank you. Yasma, what is it? Yasma Adar Udadir Udabayanga Vepo. Margam Sapadyadi Puram Haravadi Dikshoho. Dure Surin Matita Rosha Sushona Drishya. Tatapyamana Makaro Raga Nakra Chakraha. Yasmai, unto whom Adat gave. Udadihi, the great Indian Ocean. Udabaya, affected by fear. Angavepaha, bodily trembling. Margam, way. Sapadi, quickly. Adipuram, the city of the enemy. Haravat, like that of Hara. Mahadev. Didakshayoho, desiring to burn to ashes. Today, at a long distance. Surit, intimate friend. Matita, being aggrieved by. Rosha, in anger. Sushona, red hot. Dirshya, by such a glance. Tatapyamana, burning in heat. Makara, sharks. Uraga, snakes. Nakra, crocodiles. Chakraha, circle. Okay. Translation. The personality of Godhead, Ramchandra, being aggrieved by his distant... Alright, we'll start over. The personality of Godhead, Ramchandra, being aggrieved for his distant, intimate friend Sita, glanced over the city of the enemy Ravana with red-hot eyes like those of Hara, who wanted to burn the kingdom of heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because its family members, the aquatics like the sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burnt by the heat of the angry red-hot eyes of the Lord. Purport. The personality of Godhead has every sentiment of a sentient being like all other living beings, because he is the chief and original living entity, the supreme source of all other living beings. He is the Nitya, or the chief eternal amongst all other eternals. He is the chief one, and all others are the dependent many. The many eternals are supported by the one eternal, and thus both the eternals are qualitatively one. Due to such oneness, both the eternals constitutionally have a complete range of sentiments. But the difference is that the sentiments of the chief eternal are different in quantity from the sentiments of the dependent eternals. When Ramchandra was angry and showed his red-hot eyes, the whole ocean became heated with that energy. So much so that the aquatics within the great ocean felt the heat, and the personified ocean trembled in fear, and offered the Lord an easy path for reaching the enemy's city. Then personalists will see havoc in this red-hot sentiment of the Lord, because they want to see negation and perfection. Because the Lord is absolute, then personalists imagine that in the absolute the sentiment of anger, which resembles mundane sentiments, must be conspicuous by absence. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, they do not realize that the sentiment of the absolute person is transcendental to all mundane concepts of quality and quantity. Had Lord Ramchandra's sentiment been of mundane origin, how could it disturb the whole ocean and its inhabitants? Can any mundane red-hot eye generate heat in the great ocean? These are factors to be distinguished in terms of the personal and personal conceptions of the absolute truth. As it is said in the beginning of the Srimadbhagavatam, the absolute truth is the source of everything, so the absolute person cannot be devoid of the sentiments that are reflected in the temporary mundane world. Rather, the different sentiments found in the absolute, either in anger or in mercy, have the same qualitative influence, or, in other words, there is no mundane difference of value, because these sentiments are all on the absolute plane. Such sentiments are definitely not absent in the absolute, as then personalists think, making their mundane estimation of the transcendental world. Om Ganitipidandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshulanamaditam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Makam Kariravachalam Pangam Langai Tekirim Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Deditananam Bancha Kapadribishcha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namanamaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Vedi Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. The personality of Godhead Ramchandra, being aggrieved for his distant intimate friend Sita, glanced over the city of the enemy Ravana with red-hot eyes like those of Hara, who wanted to burn the kingdom of heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because its family members, the aquatics like the sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burnt by the heat of the angry red-hot eyes of the Lord. So within the nectar of instruction, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the verse Vacho Vegam, in the purport, Vacho Vegam Manaso Kroda Vegam Jiva Vegam Adodapasta Vegam Etan Vegam Yo Vishaheta Dira Sarvam Epimam Prativim Shishya. So he says, the verse says that a sober person who can control the urges of the senses, the manaso kroda vegam, the mind, and anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, genitals, and different urges of the senses, they can become a guru and make disciples all over the world. So in that particular purport, Prabhupada, he discusses one by one the mind. What does it mean to control the mind? What does it mean to control the tongue? What does it mean to control anger? And when he's discussing anger, writing about anger, he mentions two devotees, and he mentions Hanuman and Arjuna. And Hanuman and Arjuna, he said that they were famous devotees of the Lord. Why? Because of their anger. Because of their anger. Means that they were very angry, and because of that anger they fought. Arjuna fought for Krishna, and Hanuman fought for Lord Ramchandra. So, as Prabhupada brings up in the purport, that anger is not wrong, or it's not in and of itself, but it has to be used in the proper way. It has to be used for, you could say, transcendental purposes. One particular, in relation to this also, Srila Prabhupada, he was meeting with he met with one young boy, and the boy was saying that, he's probably like a hippie boy, but he was saying, "Oh, Prabhupada, when the teachings of Bhagavad Gita spread throughout the world, there'll be no more anger, right? No more anger." And then Prabhupada said, "Oh yeah, what's wrong with anger?" And Krishna spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita just to make Arjuna angry, fight. You have to be angry to fight. So Hanuman was displaying that. Arjuna was displaying that. And my spiritual master, when he was in the early days in Mumbai, he was going around and making life members there, which was a very, you could say, genius idea that Srila Prabhupada had. It said that they give a particular amount of a donation, and from that they could stay in any one of Srila Prabhupada's temples throughout the world for some time, a few nights. Nice. And they also get a full set of Srila Prabhupada's books. So maybe some other things there too, right? Other perks to it. So this is a way that Prabhupada could get donation, get donations to build a temple, and he could distribute his books, and everybody's happy. So when my spiritual master was going around, he gave the example of himself that that many people he was going to preach to, they were familiar with impersonalism, or so many impersonalistic gurus. And he felt that these impersonalistic gurus are cheating the people, which is true. They're cheating people. They're not giving them real spiritual knowledge, and in so many ways they're cheating people. So when he was going around, he was explaining that he had this sense of anger within him, that I don't like all these people are being cheated, so I have to introduce them to Krishna, or just Srila Prabhupada, real spiritual master. So in that way he was utilizing his anger. So all of these examples are teaching us that to fight for the right cause, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And actually, aside from there being nothing wrong with it, one should fight for the right cause. And if we really analyze the world, everybody is fighting for something, right? There's so many activist groups fighting throughout the world for different causes. People are fighting for their own sense gratification, fighting for their own, fighting. It's a fight. It's a struggle. You think somebody's just going to, maybe to some degree they're going to hand out checks, right? Or food stamps, whatever, but ultimately, in many ways you have to fight for everything. You have to fight for your survival. That's what Prabhupada said, the hard struggle for existence. People aren't, there's so many homeless people right nowadays because they gave up the fight, right? The people who aren't homeless and who are so-called successful, they didn't give up the fight. They're fighting. It's not easy. It's not that they just, they're getting big sums of money just for nothing. They're fighting for it. Yeah, fighting with each other, competition. It's a big competition. So to fight, everybody's doing that, and so we also do that in Krishna consciousness, and we fight for Krishna, which means to try to, within this particular age, it doesn't mean that we're killing the demons, and we don't go out and, we don't recommend that. But killing the, you could say, demoniac mentality within them, assisting in that way. So here it's mentioning that Ramchandra, just as Hanuman, Arjuna, they're angry, so Ramchandra is also angry. It says that his eyes, right, red-hot eyes, be quite a sight to see that, right? Ramchandra's red-hot eyes, looking over to where the great demon, terrible demon Ravana is, and he's burning heating up the ocean. He's really angry. So Krishna, or Ramchandra, he also gets angry. Just like Nrsingadev, we're singing Nrsingadev every day. He's also angry. So, but the personalists, they have a problem with this. They think, oh, well, how can God be angry, right? They try to see, what does Prabhupada say here? Negation. What is it? Negation and perfection. Here it says, the impersonalists will see havoc in this red-hot sentiment of the Lord because they want to see negation and perfection. So they think that these emotions that are displayed within this world, anger, so many different things, they surely can't be in the absolute truth, because all these emotions are just illusion, just Maya, material. And therefore the impersonalists, they also can't understand, like Mother Yashoda, Krishna, Mother Yashoda in anxiety for Krishna. They think, oh, this is mundane anxiety. They don't understand, because they're impersonalists. They don't understand Krishna's transcendental emotions. So yeah, it's stating here that Ramchandra also is angry, and he's angry because of of Ravana, great demon Ravana, kidnapping Sita, which he did in a very, very, very slick way, because he disguised himself as a sannyasi, and tried to allure her in that way, and then yes, she eventually she was trying to be kind to him, right? Because he's sannyasi, and then he captured him, and he captured her, and took her off to Lanka. And part of that particular pastime when she was being brought to Lanka, Sita, was that a particular devotee tried to stop this from happening. Yeah, Jatayu. And said that Jatayu is a humongous bird, and someplace says vulture. And he was old. But he was a warrior, but he was old. And he had parental affection for Ramchandra and Sita. When they went out to the forest, he had parental affection for them. And he said when they went out that, whatever you need, I'll protect you and look after you. And so when Jatayu saw Ravana with Sita in his mystic airplane, whatever that was, going, Jatayu said, I can't just sit back and let this demon take Sita. I have to try to stop this. But he knew very well that he's old, and says Ravana was quite younger than him and stronger, right? But he said, okay, I have to still try. So that's what he did. So first it said that he flew, near Ravana and Sita, and he said, how can you do this? He was trying to stop him from the moral perspective. How can you do this? You're still another man's wife. What's wrong with you? How can you? And then Ravana said, I'm out, and he's going, right? Lust personified, just going, keeps on going. So then Jatayu, he tries to rationale with him some more. He says, and he calls him a coward. You're stealing Sita when Ramchandra's not even there. You're a coward. And he just keeps on going, right? Ravana. So then at one particular point, Jatayu says, okay, this isn't going to work. So what he does is he just attacks Ravana, attacks his airplane. And Ravana, he was impressed, actually, even though Jatayu was old, even though he was, he was impressed by his strength. And he managed to get Ravana and crash his plane onto the ground and get Ravana onto the ground. And that was his tactic, Jatayu's tactic as a seasoned warrior. He said, I have to first, there was some mules, those were the, not horses, but they're mules, like flying mules. So that was his tactic. First kill all of them, which he did. And then he destroyed the airplane, and then he got Ravana on the ground, which is a good tactic. Destroy the vehicle in which is being used, and then attack the person. It's a good tactic, Jatayu. So then, so they were battling. So Sita was off in the distance, and Jatayu and Ravana were battling. And again, Ravana was quite impressed with Jatayu's strength. And it said that Jatayu, he actually managed to lop off one of the arms of Ravana. And then, but a very interesting thing happened. You know what happened? It grew right back. Ravana's arm grew right back because apparently there was some boon from Lord Brahma. Brahma seems to, give the boons to the demons like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, interesting boons. So that was a boon. If a limb would be cut off, it would grow right back. So it grew right back. So then they're battling, and then Ravana, he managed to cut off the two, wings, cut off the two wings of Jatayu. and then he got him, and then it said that he killed him, or he didn't die immediately, but he fell on the ground, blood everywhere, and then Ravana, with his mystic power, he said he captured Sita, then flew off into the sky. So Jatayu was there on the ground, and he was chanting Ram, 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 right? Chanting Ram, Ram, and then says Ramchandra, Lakshman, and different devotees. They're all searching in the four directions for Sita. So then Ramchandra, he went into this particular place of the forest, and he saw this. It seemed like a battlefield there. Everything was messed up. Somebody fights, you could tell, right? Big. Everything was destroyed in that part of the forest, and then he sees this personality, and he thinks, oh, this must be the demon who kidnapped Sita. He thinks Jatayu's, because he can't recognize him because he's so mutilated from Ravana. Can't recognize. So he actually points his arrow towards him. Which you could imagine, it's like you sacrifice your life for somebody, literally, and you're laying there and you're thinking about that person, and that person comes up to you and points the arrow to you. So, of course, but his Jatayu's a pure devotee, so he doesn't mind. And then he just keeps on chanting Ram, Ram. So then Ramchandra hears, oh, he's chanting my name, who is this person? So he goes up to him and he recognizes, oh, this is Jatayu. So it says that in a particular place I was reading, it said that Jatayu, Ramchandra embraced Jatayu. He embraced him, and then, of course, he was very happy for him sacrificing his life, and then it said he died in his arms, which is the great perfection for Jatayu. It's like Bhishma Dev. Of course, Krishna didn't embrace Bhishma Dev. He had all those arrows in him, but Krishna was there with Bhishma Dev. They were looking, so that was a great. Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord, Haridas, Haridas Thakur wanted to have the benediction of seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that happened, and it said that Ramchandra performed the funeral, the rites for Jatayu, like as a father does towards a son towards a father. They have that parental relationship. So this was a amazing thing. So you could say, oh, well, he didn't fail. You could say, oh, well, it looked like he failed, and he didn't manage to get Sita. But because of his great devotion and his great trying to succeed in getting Sita back, he was a success. So, so it's a great example, Jatayu. And so much of Srila Prabhupada's books, it explains, like, what is a devotee. Sometimes we wonder, why on earth is, Prabhupada, so many purports. This is what a devotee is like. This is what a devotee. In Bhagavad Gita, too, Krishna says, right? So many in the, what chapter? 12th chapter?
Second chapter, 12th.
Yeah. Such a person's very dear to me, such a person's very dear to me, who does this, who does this, who does this, who does this, right? Different things. So why is that? Because we need to know what to strive for. We need to know what it means to be a devotee. We need to know what to strive for. And we need to know who to follow. We need to know who to follow. So in one particular case, Srila Prabhupada, I'll read this. Bear with me. It's a short paragraph here. But Prabhupada, he's given a lecture June 4th, srimadbhagavatam 6.138, June 4th, 1976, in Los Angeles. So Prabhupada's given it on the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, and Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas, they're discussing, saying, don't take, Vishnu Dutas saying, how do you have the right to take this man? He chanted the name of Narayan, and you can't take him. And, they're going back and forth. So the Vishnu Dutas are challenged. If you're actually representative of Yamaraj, who tries the cases of Dharma and Adharma, first of all explain what is Dharma and what is Dharma and what is Adharma, what is religion, what is irreligion. So it's saying that you have to explain this. You can't just take him. It's like in court, someone's going to jail for a very long time, and they have to know the law. I mean, imagine if that mistake happened. It's like, hey, I chanted Narayan's name. You're taking me down to the hellish planet. I mean, that's a big mistake. So then Prabhupada says, this is a very nice challenge. Suppose if you say, we are Krishna conscious persons, one may challenge you. First of all, explain what you know about Krishna. There was one devotee, I remember, he was in the ashram, and then he left the ashram years ago, and he was going to school at Mesa. And he was kind of like, the devotee had a little bit of a challenging spirit. I mean, he's a good devotee and everything, but... So then I remember, this was years ago, and it was like a new bhakta, and then went to Mesa, like new bhakta, and then he would go up to me and he challenged me, looked at me in the eye and said, hey, tell me about Krishna. I want to know about Krishna. But he said in a very kind of intense and he was older than me, and I was kind of, oh, well, Krishna. Said, you should know about Krishna. You're a devotee of Krishna. He's got to challenge him. And then we had, huh? Yeah, he was already a devotee. Yeah, initiated. And then we had one bhakta, I'm kind of shy, and we had one bhakta who was less shy. He said, yeah, I'll tell you about Krishna, and he kept on going on, he went on. So this is what Prabhupada's saying, may challenge you. First of all, explain what you know about Krishna. So yeah, we should be, not scared to glorify Krishna, tell people what we know. And that is quite natural. If you do not know about Krishna, you have no right to say that I belong to the Krishna consciousness movement. You have no right to say. So your position is like that. Simply if you have tilak and neck bead, kanti, that does not mean that you belong to the Krishna consciousness movement. Any cheater can do that. You must know the philosophy. If one challenges, you must reply. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a song indicating these cheaters. He says, Euta eka kalira chela. Here is a servant of Kali. And what kind of chela? Disciple? Nake tilak galaya mala. He has got a tilak and galaya mala neck beads. Bas. That's all. He does not know what is the philosophy. If you do not know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, if you simply mark your body with tilak and kanti, then you are not proper servant. You are not qualified. So tilak mala is necessary, just like policeman. A bogus man, if he dresses like a policeman, is not a policeman. He must know what is the police law, criminal law. Who is to be punished? Who is not to be punished? What is criminality? What is innocence? All these things he must know. So, Srila Prabhupada is putting strong emphasis on knowing about Krishna and knowing the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And I'm bringing this up because people, they, nowadays, it's a perfect age, actually. I said this the other day, but it's a perfect age for the critics. Because it's so, well, one is there's so many faults. That's one point. But aside from there being so many faults, is that it's so easy to get the word out nowadays. It's the information age, right? Just go on the internet, just go everywhere, all over the world. And anybody could write a book nowadays too. I mean, before it used to be hard to write a book. You had to be really intelligent. You had to get some publisher to publish you and have lots of money. Now it's like very easy. Anybody could write a book practically now. It's amazing. And get it out. Yeah, Amazon, Kindle, all this. So it's a perfect age for critics. And I'm bringing this particular case up is that because Prabhupada, he wanted to instill within the devotees that you have to know what your business is. The business is not just to, critique everybody and their mother about every little thing and, broadcast it all over the world via the internet. But, in other words, trying to take the devotees down, but we have to be like Jatayu. We have to fight for Ramchandra. It means fight for the Krishna consciousness movement, try to spread Krishna consciousness. And that is real heroism, not somebody just like sitting back and, critiquing everything. Like Prabhupada said here, another small quote, he says, there are many things to criticize in the matter of any faith. And if we divert our attention to such activities, we shall simply create more opposite elements and waste our time. Better if we try to push on this Krishna consciousness movement and use our energy, education, scientific knowledge, etc., to simply convince the present generation that everyone is a servant of God. Then our mission will be successful. So, this is what it means to be a devotee, to try to convince people. And as Srila Prabhupada says, we also have to be convinced, right? He would sometimes ask his disciples very interestingly, I think, he would say, are you convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Sometimes devotees would be, oh, well, I don't know. So we have to be convinced and then try to convince others. Fight for Krishna. Now, it's mentioning ocean here, so another case with ocean is that of Hanuman, of course, jumping over, of course he jumped over, but then when Ramchandra and all the soldiers were going to cross and fight in Lanka, Ravana and his team, they started throwing boulders into the ocean. And interesting enough is that they started to float. Of course, how is that? And Earth is floating. Some things are floating, but we're floating. But yeah, they started to float. And in this particular case, Hanuman, some say spider. What did anyone hear? Squirrel. Some say spider and some say squirrel.
We used to say spider, but I believe it's a squirrel from Rama.
Yeah. So we could say squirrel. So it's a little squirrel, how small is a squirrel? It's a little big, very small. Different size, too big, but it's small.
Within the range.
Yeah. There's different age, so maybe they were bigger, but whatever. So, little squirrel was, throwing the pebbles in the ocean. Why? It wasn't just, getting some exercise or something, having fun. He was doing it to serve Ramchandra. Oh, I'm doing my service, okay. And then Hanuman, he said, oh, hey, well, kind of in the way, and we're doing the heavy lifting here, move it, buddy, or whatever he said, indicating to move out of the way. So then Ramchandra, he overheard this. He must have been close by. And even if he wasn't close by, he could still hear it. He's Krishna, or Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he told Hanuman, he said that, better you don't say that to him, because he is trying his best to do what he can to serve me, just as you are trying your best to serve me, though your capacity is different. And added another point, a very interesting point. He said, and after all, you have to remember, I'm the one floating these rocks. So, abilities come from Krishna. So the next verse, they made their way over there to Lanka, and they engaged in this very intense, drawn-out battle, which is wonderfully described in the Ramayana. And if anyone hasn't read the Ramayana, they should, because it's a great book. And His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami put together a very nice, Ramayana. English. I think he has other languages too, but I read that book. And it's a very wonderful, but very dramatic, intense account. So they're fighting, and at one particular point, Ramchandra and Ravana are at it. And this verse describes a little bit of that. This next verse in the Bhagavatam we're reading from, verse 25. So I'll just read this. When Ravana was engaged in the battle, the trunk of the elephant which carried the king of heaven, Indra, broke in pieces, having collided with the chest of Ravana. and the scattered broken parts illuminated all directions. Ravana therefore felt proud of his prowess and began to loiter in the midst of the fighting soldiers. So he's feeling very proud. Right? Okay. Thinking himself the conqueror of all directions. Thinking himself a big hero, right? A big master, big whatever. But his laughter, overtaken by joy, along with his very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. So tingling sound and just, went right to his heart. Small purport. However powerful a living being may be, when he is condemned by God, no one can save him. And similarly, however weak one may be, if he is protected by the Lord, no one can annihilate him. So, he was a big personality. He was one of the biggest in history. But in comparison to Ramchandra, he was defeated very easily. So these, people have analyzed, the different. Some say, Ramchandra is a personification of lust, which I'd say he's quite a lusty fellow. Or they say that these different, because Ramchandra was shooting. He was removing some of Ravana's heads. Ravana had many heads. And each time he would remove one of these heads, what would happen? Another one would pop up. Right? It'd make a great movie. Anyways. So, from that benediction of Brahma. But the benediction didn't, there was some, in relation to the benediction, his life is, the main source of his life is in his heart, so go for his heart. And Vibhishana told Ramchandra that, go for his heart. So that's how he found out. And he went for his heart. There may be so many, in relation to, you could say, Ravana's heads being like an artist, there could be so many processes that may seem to remove the anarthas, or the bad qualities within one's heart. But a lot of the times the bad qualities come up again. So therefore a thorough cleansing or a thorough killing is needed. Striking the heart. And thinking of ourselves in terms of purification, all that, we need a process that will cleanse our heart. And that process is obviously, as we know, Chaito Darpana Marjanam, chanting, engaged in the processes of devotional service, fighting for that purification. It's a good fight. And if one doesn't want that, or like people sometimes they think that they're doing good, or like many people, they think they're doing good, doing so many things. Like I was talking about these critics, they think they're doing good. I mean, I would say otherwise. I would say that very poisonous association. But it's like a child who says, anybody who's been parents or anybody who's been around kids, sometimes kids don't like to do the things they should. Occasionally. And one of those things, sometimes kids don't like to bathe. I mean, there's kids like that. They don't like to bathe. If it was their choice, they probably wouldn't do it very often. Some kids. And they may lie to their parents. They say, they go in the bathroom and, they turn on the water or something and they get out and then their parents, they suspect something and, hey, little Jimmy, did you take a shower? Yeah, I took a shower, I'm clean. It's very clear he did it, he's lying. So engaging in, overly being critic and critiquing and, offensive mentality, it's like that. Oh yeah, I'm engaged in the process of devotional service, but they're not really. They're avoiding it, and getting stuck in the web of Maya. So therefore, we should follow great examples: Jatayu, Hanuman, so many great warriors within Ramchandra's pastimes, so many great devotees within Krishna's pastimes. There's always great devotees if we look. So we should follow them. And yeah, this is a very special day, auspicious day, especially for Ramchandra Bhaktas. They're very fired up about this day. But yeah, for us, we could pray, we could meditate, we could read. If we haven't read Ramayana today, we can make a vow. Yes, I'll read Ramayana starting today. It's not that big. And in this way, we could increase our Krishna consciousness. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Yes, or comments?
You were saying how Prabhupada would challenge our, are we a devotee, but are we actually, can we stand up and can we protect, can we present Krishna and defend? So I was on a morning walk in Detroit, and maybe 25 devotees, a bunch of sannyasis. Everyone's Prabhupada was quiet on this walk. He was mostly chanting. And then, Prabhupada was always at the front, and the devotees all... And Prabhupada was just walking, and then he stopped, and he turned, and he looked at all of us. And he said, I know you're all atheists, but there really is Krishna. And then he turned around and kept right on walking and just left us hanging there. So, I also, I don't know whether it's in the Ramayana, but it's also often narrated that you're talking about the squirrel and Hanuman, and that Lord Ram blessed the squirrel with his hand, gave him a benediction, and that's why the squirrels have the stripe on their back. They say that.
Nice. Any other? All right. Jai. Ramchandra ki jai. Hare. Yeah, Washington, D.C. Yeah, I remember reading about this where, Prabhupada, he sanctioned Ramchandra, Lakshman, Hanuman, Sita, in Juhu, in a Jew temple.
And he said for
Yeah.
Washington, D.C., because the capital of Ram should be.
He said Maharaj saying because D.C. is the capital, Ramchandra should be there, right? Ideal king. In Juhu, Prabhupada said that there's so many Ram Bhaktas, so we should have for them Ram Bhaktas.
Also in Delhi, wasn't it?
Delhi, they also have.
Delhi?
I don't know if Prabhupada installed that on the originally it was about
My spiritual master, he asked Srila Prabhupada about Radharasa Bihari, and he asked Prabhupada, because they didn't have a name for quite a long time, and Prabhupada asked, my spiritual master, Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, can you please, name our deities? So then they went through different names. Prabhupada went through different names. My spiritual master said, well, down in South India, they have that name, and, so they went through different names, and then Prabhupada said, okay, how about Radharasa Bihari? And then, okay, and so we decided on that. And then my spiritual master said he brought up that maybe we could get Lalita and Vishaka like they have in our Vrindavan ISKCON temple. And then Prabhupada's eyes got really wide, so that's a great idea. And then he agreed to that as well. So and they have Lalita Vishaka there, and Radharasa Bihari and Juhu as well. So, yeah. All right, sure. He said that Prabhupada acted like it was a very, wonderful idea, and he was like yes, it's a great idea. And then my spiritual master said, I'm just, same as Vrindavan. But